Yeah, you can start wherever you want. Just explain what happened and what you experienced and kind of like your feelings behind the whole thing.
Sure. So I ran the marathon for Team United Way, which is a charity organization. So I ran under the charity, which raising money for a lot of it's mostly just charities in Massachusetts that raise money for. So my first marathon, I had prepared about 3 months out is when I found out. So I very much look forward to doing my first marathon, and Boston being one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah.
And that also being where I was from, it was kind of the perfect one to do because it was my backyard. I trained in Boston. Boston's my home and my life pretty much. So.
Understand.
Yeah. So the day started off very well. Beautiful morning for running. Came down to they bring you to the bus in Hopkinton over to the area where you start at. And it was very festive. The environment's very vibrant, and the whole day from that point forward was very vibrant. As you run, people cheering on both sides, and it's a surreal feeling because you can't imagine that many people out there to support all these runners. But it's such a cool experience. So my wife had tickets for the grandstands. We had got those through the Team United Way. They were the VIP passes that she could watch me finish at the finish line. I told her about what time I would be there because I've been training and I knew my time was around 4 hours and change, 4 hours, 5 minutes, whatever it was. So I said, I'm starting around 10:40, 11 o'clock. I should be there around 3 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
So I was pretty much right on time. As you're running, I got to the 21-mile mark and I was feeling pretty good to that point. And I got tired, and I'm dragging, but I knew that at the end of the race, my wife was there, my friends were out there too, and we're all going to go out and have a little party after, go out and enjoy ourselves. And the day was beautiful. And as I was running, I got to mile, it was 25.8, I guess. It was almost the term where you go into Hereford, and the police officers and the volunteers were just kind of just pointing us, directly backwards. So they were just saying, hey, go back. And at that point, I was in robot mode. I mean, I was pretty much just wanted to finish the race. Your legs are going, and you don't even realize how you're moving. That hurts so bad. They feel like bricks on your feet, but you're almost there. So you start to get more and more excited as you get closer. The crowd gets louder, and the whole place becomes more festive because you just crossed from Newton into Boston, and now you're kind of coming into the downtown area, the Back Bay area. So they pointed us backwards. And at first, we had heard that it was a bomb threat near the finish line. So they were saying, a lot of rumors flying around as we were stopping. And then they proceeded to take the gates from the side, and they had moved them in to form like a barricade, which was, I believe, I think it was Commonwealth Ave or was Beacon Street, one of the two. Yeah. I think it was Com Ave. But there's, right past a bridge over there, there's they corralled us in.
Yeah, no, I know where it is.
Yeah, so pretty much everybody kind of clustered up in that area, and people were getting frustrated because no one knew what was going on, and people were trying to get through the crowd to get to the finish line. And, we kept saying, we're at the gate, you can't go any further, this is where they stopped us. So we heard there was a bomb threat, and they more people had phones out, so they started to work the data, and we're getting text messages and whatever else. I didn't have my phone on me, but others had their phone around them. And they had said that there were 4 bombs that had gone off. And, I mean, my heart just sunk because I didn't have a phone on me. I knew my wife was right there at the finish line. We had no other information other than that there were 4 bombs that had gone off. And I was in complete darkness as far as communication. So I had used people's phones that were on the side of me. There were spectators on both sides. And everyone was just kind of in disbelief and shock. So I had used phones, but they didn't work because the networks had been so clogged down. Pretty much, everyone the network's made for X people, but whenever it makes a call at once, which is what happens in a catastrophe, then it just overloads and it shuts down. So there was nothing through Verizon. I was able to get text messages off that worked. I put to my wife's phone using people's phones, the spectators, the crowd, saying that I was safe. But I wasn't around long enough to see any response, and I don't know if she ever got it or not, but it came down to, I had no feedback of what was going on. So it was about a half hour after we got to the end. More rumor mill going on, more texts coming in, more data coming in, people just spreading whatever they could hear from Twitter or whatever else that was happening. And then we had gone down from 4 bombs to 2 bombs, but that there were more. And so now we're just totally on edge. They released us from that corral, blocked off Hereford and all the streets past Gloucester and the rest of them, and had us go left and kind of, we walked all the way down, I think it was Connev or Marlborough. We walked down to Berkeley. Luckily, I had my cell phone in my bag, which was on the bus that they bring from Hopkinton back to Boston. So my phone was in my bag. I stopped on Berkeley Street, grabbed the bag off the bus, I ripped the bag open to get the phone out and turned it on. I had messages from people, but none of them from my wife. So there were texts on there that people were saying, "Are you okay?" People I hadn't heard from in years were texting me and asking me if I was okay, but there was nothing from my wife. So it was about after I got the phone, this is about 45 minutes after we first stopped, and then about 15 minutes after that, I was actually able to get a phone call off. And I heard my wife's voice, and she told me where she was. They were in the South End. So I walked down Stewart Street, I think it was. We walked down towards south of the Prudential Tower. And I'm on the phone with her. She's like, "Oh, we're being evacuated again." They had gone to Copley Place, but there was another bomb threat there, I guess, so they were taking them out of Copley back outside to the street. Eventually, we got a message off, and she gave me an address. I just met her at that address. And she was there with 2 of her friends. And, they were safe. But it was that period of the hour or so between getting to the end and then not knowing what happened.
Yeah.
That really made the difference. But, it took about a week or so, and maybe a week after, I finally realized I actually ran the marathon. Before that, I didn't think about it. It was all about the bombing, the entire focus. And after things settled down, Boylston Street opened back up, and then it kind of came back to me like, hey, I did this. This was something that I did, and it was fun. And it was so enjoyable to that point. But it was a huge. It was very hard to go from a moment where you know that you're about to have a good time and enjoy a nice afternoon, on a day off in Boston, just to really be with friends that don't come into the city that often too, to all be together and kind of have that experience. And then you're going from this constant rising of anticipation, and it just drops. I mean, you lose everything that you were hoping for goes away, and it becomes almost despair and uncertainty. And additionally, you've run out of time, so you're tired. You're physically tired. There's no water for anybody at the end. Over there's no blankets. So I was okay. I wore long sleeves, so I was okay. But others around me, I was hugging a lady next to me because she was wearing a tank top and she was just shivering. She had no body fat on her at all, and she was just literally just shaking because you have to give those space blankets or whatever to keep you warm. So I think all in all, it was just it was a day that I'll never forget. I wish it ended differently, but it didn't, and I plan on running more. I signed up for New York Marathon in November, and it's my full intention to find a way to do Boston again next year. So whatever I have to do to make that happen, I'll do it. And by no means do I have any ill feelings towards anybody about this. It was a terrible experience, but life goes on. You can't harbor negativity. You just kind of, you realize what happened. You are thankful that nobody that you know or nobody around you that was close to you got hurt. But it's still you gotta be vigilant, but you also gotta just move on with life. That's kind of how I feel. Since I want to move on and just do more running. I want to be back into it again. Life's too short to really let things tear you down.
Definitely.
So that's pretty much my opinion on it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's awesome.